What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're going to be working on installing the RTR Grille with LEDs on your 18 to 20 Ford F-150. For this install, we're going to be using a 5.5mm socket, an 8mm socket, a 10mm socket, and I chose to use a 3/8 wrench and extension, but feel free to use whatever you got on hand. You'll also need a Phillips head screwdriver, and finally, an automotive clip removal tool. When it comes to unboxing, inside you'll have your RTR grille, you'll have your RTR LED lighting, or your grille inserts depending on which option you chose. Your grille studs, zip ties, speed nuts, and your 5mm screws. And to set the whole thing off and polish it up real nice, your RTR Grille badge. Alright, now that that's out of the way, what do you say we jump into this and get started? Starting at the rear of the flare, remove the fastener securing it to the rocker panel. At the front of the fender, remove the 5.5mm head screw. Remove the 3 fur anchors at the 11, 12, and 1 o'clock position. Using a body clip tool or equivalent, unclip the flare from the fender and set it aside. Moving on to the bumper trim, separate the edges first, then disengage the center tabs and remove the trim from the vehicle. Remove the 13 plastic rivets securing the core support to the vehicle. The last rivet is on the other side of the air inlet box. Once you have that removed, slide it out from underneath the air box and set it aside. Disconnect the shutter motor and the air temp sensor, and pry the harness anchor out from the shutter assembly. Remove the 4 upper grille 10mm screws and set them aside. Remove the lower grille screws from both sides. These were 8mm but may vary on other trims. Now with all fasteners and screws removed, we can slide the OEM grille and shutter assembly forward from the vehicle. With the grille placed on a padded surface, carefully remove the 8 fir tree anchors securing the splash shield to the bottom of the assembly and set them aside. Remove the 2 10mm flange nuts on each side of the shutter. If the stud comes loose before the nut does, don't worry about this. This happens in many cases. All you need to do is remove the nut once the stud is free. Remove the 8mm screw in the center of the shutter assembly just below the motor. You will not be using this fastener in the RTR grille. Identify the 5 spring clips located at the top of the grille. Depress the 5 spring clips one by one while lifting up on the shutter. This will separate it from the OEM grille. This was the last step with the OEM grille. We can now unbox our RTR grille and lights and move on to the assembly. Start by installing the speed nuts onto the LEDs with the flat side facing outwards and the threads facing inwards. Route the wiring harness and the lights through the front of the grille. Each LED is marked with the side that it belongs to. If done properly, the wiring harness will be towards the top of the grille. Align the speed nuts with the holes in the grille and secure the LED by inserting the 5mm screws and flat washers. Now with the LEDs installed, lay the harness up and out of the way of the grille. Slide the grille studs into the slots on both sides of the grille and transfer the OEM clips to the RTR grille. Once the studs are in place, install the OEM shutters onto the RTR grille and secure reusing the 10mm OEM flange nuts. Reinstall the OEM splash shield onto the RTR grille and shutter assembly. Then reinstall the OEM plastic rivets on the top of the grille assembly. Transfer the OEM retainer clips onto the RTR grille. These may have come out with the grille. If not, they may still be in the vehicle. In the instructions, you're gonna see where we say to take off the front wheels and put them on jack stands. A lot of people ask me about this. One reason that we say to do this is because it makes it a lot easier when you get up in there to work in the wheel well if those wheels are out of the way. Do you have to do it? Absolutely not. It's up to you, but trust me, it makes it a lot easier. Set the RTR Grille assembly on the bumper, supported with a bungee cord or strap. Then carefully route the wiring harness down the side of the grille towards the outside of the frame. You can now remove the bungee cord and fully insert the RTR Grille assembly into the vehicle, reconnecting the shutter motor and air temp sensors. Don't forget to reinsert the harness anchor into the shutter assembly. Remove the 5.5mm head screw and plastic rivet at the front of the fender liner, pulling back the fender liner and securing it in place with a bungee cord. Ensure that the wiring harness is carefully routed past the radiator and over the cross member. At this point in time, you're going to want to locate the headlamp and disconnect it. The RTR LED harness comes with two different connectors, one for LED and one for halogen. Once you've identified which one you need, one end goes into the OEM harness and the other into the headlamp. With your connections safely fastened, find a good location for the LED driver. Using the double-sided tape, make sure that you have an area that has been cleaned and prepped for the LED driver to be mounted to, securing all access wiring with the included zip ties. With everything in place, all you have to do now is test your LEDs to make sure everything is functional. With everything now working properly, you can reinstall your fender liner, grille trim, fender flares, and core support cover. Alright, so we're all buttoned up here with the RTR F-150 grill, and I myself absolutely love it. I love it so much, this is my truck. Installation on this project was right around an hour. Now you probably can get a friend to help you out. I'm not saying it's gonna move any faster, but you'll probably have a little bit more fun. Now if you're familiar with our Mustang lights, you'll know that the LEDs only turned on when the vehicle was on. Now with these, you can either turn them on with your key fob when you unlock it, or you can do it by switching the lights to on. I keep mine in the automatic on-off, so whenever the lights start to turn on for outside, when it gets dim enough, these things will click on and they show up great of a night. As always, thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Make sure to give us a big thumbs up if you like this video or you found it at all helpful. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Hit that bell notification so you can see any of the new videos that we drop, whether it's install or going out and having fun. And if you like this grill or any of our other products, you can find that at rtrvehicles.com. Until next time, I'm Jordan Wheeler for RTR Vehicles, and I'll see you on the other side of fun.